this project will step you through how to create the time interval driver and the time interval class. I'm going to record them in 2 different sessions so that they won't be so long, hopefully. Anyway, I created a Unit 2 projects folder. I'm going to add a new class to that, and it's going to be called time interval. It will not include main, so I'm just going to click finish. And then I'm going to concentrate on just the time interval class for right now. And I like to take the assignment instructions, if I come back here, and highlight and copy them. And I'm going to actually copy up here to include the parametric constructor. And I like to then include that right below the code block area, so that I have kind of like a template right there. So if I get this set up and I start to read through everything that is required in my time interval class, it's a pretty general class in the terms that it's going to have some getter methods: get hours, get minutes, get pay. Those are probably the easiest methods to write. So if you have a chance and you recognize that right away, just hammer those out, because that's kind of nice to get those out of the way. So for example, a getter method is going to be public, and it's going to return, in this case, hours is going to be an integer, and so get hours is just going to return hours. Now it's not going to like some of this because I don't have everything all set up. I don't even have my instance field set up. This is another thing that's kind of helpful, is that if you notice your getters, that usually tells you what your instance fields are. So my 3 instance fields that I'm going to use here are hours as an integer. I'm going to have minutes as an integer, and then I'm going to have rate as a double. And so that's going to help. Once you have one of the getters set up, you can copy and paste. Now I just noticed that I'm using kind of like the C++ type formatting because I'm used to that. I actually prefer that. But if you want to use the Java type of formatting where you put the curly brace on the line right after the method, that is fine. Hours will need to get changed to minutes, and then you will return minutes as well on this one. And then lastly, you will need to write the I'm going to leave for you to write the get pay method, but it's going to be virtually identical to these. Okay. Another thing that I kind of like to do is sometimes if I get done with one of those jobs, sometimes I like to just delete that out. Kind of helps me think of it as a checklist. So I'm going to say delete, even though I didn't get to do the get pay. The parametric constructor will accept all 3 council inputs. So in some respects, I got a little ahead of myself because I didn't do the constructor, but because I saw those getter methods, and you will have to do one more getter method, you'll have to do get pay, remember? I jumped ahead. But now I need to create a constructor. And a constructor will always start with public. It will repeat the class name. So sometimes I copy and paste that in to make sure that it's identical. And this one indicates that there's 3 constructors. So I'm going to do int, and that's going to be my time start, or I might just call it the start time. And I'm going to have the end time, and it says I need to include a rate, and rate needs to be a double. Now, what you're going to do with those is inside here, you will have to follow the algorithm that we set up in the previous video for calculating your military time. You can put all your code, if you want, into this one method. It's probably not the best programming practice, but you can do that. I would like to see you maybe create some helper methods, but if you're kind of new to this and you want to get all the code or put all the code in here to go ahead and do the calculations, that's fine. Remember that our algorithm is going to be to convert all time to minutes. Then you are going to subtract the end time minus the start time. and then you will calculate the hours and minutes from that, and then calculate the pay. And the previous video gives you some hints on how to do some of those calculations. And I'm having a little bit of an issue with typing. And I believe that will probably wrap up the time interval class for now. And you are then to finish the rest.